right. If we are doing sketching digitally, it automatically takes away all the load of making things look good. It is mostly about clean strokes, not creating too much of sketching. But when it is about sketching on paper and then capturing using phone camera, and then uploading it, different things comes into play. So I'm going to talk about those things today. It starts with the pre-shoot. So let's say whenever we have sketched anything on paper, and for that, let me switch my camera and show what I'm talking about. Yeah, so let's say I have sketched something on paper, and I want to take a photo and upload it. I'll take a photo, and let's say, okay, this is the photo that I've got. I have captured using iPad, but for that matter, any digital tool is fine. As you can see, when I upload this photo, it'll look little either blurry, or it'll look low brightness, and it'll also show some textures around it. So the first thing that comes into play is making sure that our pre-shoot, or the way we call it in photography or videography terms, pre-production, which is making sure that our setup is well lit. There is a good amount of lighting coming from the opposite side of the camera. So let's say if I have my sketch over here, I have my camera over here, then there is a light which is coming from this side, which is, as you can see, from the pen. So the light should be falling on the main subject on the opposite side. Okay. And the subject should be well lit by the lighting itself. So that's number one. Second, also making sure that it is obstacle free, that there is not many things around lying around it, keeping obstacle free. Third one is making sure that our camera and the subject, or whatever photograph of the sketch that we are going to take, they are well aligned. So they should be going parallel. So let's say if this is my camera and this is my subject, they should be parallel to each other rather than at an angle. When we do that, what we are doing is we are making sure that the subject gets captured uh, in a well-oriented fashion. It is not disoriented. Of course, we can make all those changes in post-production, but if we take care of these things in pre-production, 50% of our work is kind of done. Last thing I want to highlight is on the zoom part, which is when we are taking photo, and we are looking at the subject from, let's say, um, through the lens. Are we doing digital zoom, or are we doing physical zoom? So when I say physical zoom, it is actually taking camera near to the subject. And when I'm talking about digital zoom is when I'm keeping the camera far from the subject and digitally zooming in. I would recommend combination of both. In digital zoom, don't go beyond 1.2x, because then it's going to kind of start blurring, unless you have really good camera on your phone device. So not going beyond 1.2x, that should be fine. And also making sure that the zoom is only to capture the subject and not anything else. It is good to kind of keep space around the subject first of all in the photograph, so that we are able to crop in the post production if required. That gives us a good flexibility in terms of creating a good looking photo. So that's about pre-shoot. Once we have captured the photo, the next thing will be um, post-production, which is, let's say, if this is the photo that I've captured, um, based on the app that you have, this is on iPad and iOS system, we have photo settings wherein I can go ahead and edit the photos. I'm sure in Android device also, you will have the same thing. So the first one will be to use crop, which is go ahead and crop the photo just to capture the detail of the sketch itself. Okay, if you go to your photo editing tool, you should be able to find this crop adjustment. Once it is cropped, second thing is to go to adjust. Now, as you can see, this the background of this photo editing app is on a brighter side, which is white in color, and the sketch itself is little bluish. So what I'm going to do is I just want to, in this sketch, I want to highlight the strokes, and I don't want the background blue coming up as is. So I'll go to exposure. So there are three settings that we'll be taking, that we'll be meddling around with. The first one is exposure. I am going to increase the exposure. Now, exposure is the amount of light that gets captured. So I'm going to increase the exposure. So for this, if you see, I increase the exposure to the maximum, and you can see that the background kind of disappears, right? So that's the first thing taken care of. The second one is contrast.
Sorry, Kumar. Can you go back to exposure?
Yes, I'm in exposure.
Okay, so what is the recommended setting you're keeping? Like, I know you did not put it full way up.
Yeah, this is full way. There is no recommended setting, but I would say just go with what looks good, so that there is a clear distinction between foreground, which is the strokes and letters, and the background was the color of the paper.
Got it. Thank
So
you.
if you see this one, I've gone till 100, but if I go to some other sketch, let's say this one, right, and I go to exposure, you can see even before going to 100, that thing has gone off, right? So I can still go ahead and, so whatever works for you, use that one. So that's number one. Second is contrast. Contrast, we are going to increase the contrast so that the stroke, which is black in color, and the background, which is white in color, creates enough contrast so that our main text or sketch gets highlighted. Now this should be good enough to kind of get done, but if you still feel that the brightness is not coming out good, you can go to brightness and either increase the brightness or reduce it. If I increase the brightness, you can see that all the blemishes which are on the border, they have gone off, and only the stroke remains. So these are the three settings using which we can actually create sketches which look amazing, like very clean. This is from yesterday's prompt clock given by Nisha. I'm going to edit this now. So I'll go to edit mode, go to exposure, and I increase the exposure, and you can see that just by increasing it to 65, the background has completely gone. Then I go to contrast, increase the contrast, and you can see that further it has gone down. Now it will also show that the strokes have started becoming very hazy. They are not perfectly legible. So I go to brightness and decrease the brightness instead of increasing, and you can see that the stroke, because of that brightness thing, they have coming up nicely. There is also something called black point, which I increase. It will increase the ink ratio or the black color, like it will make it pop out. Now, having done this, you can see that
Kumar, this black point is in every device?
It should be there in all the phones ideally, but if it's not there, don't worry. I have two apps to talk about. So it will be there in those two apps. Um, Now, after having done this black point and brightness, you can see that on the right side, there is still some kind of coloration which is remaining. So I can again go to exposure, increase the exposure and try to adjust that. And you can see that it kind of completely goes off, right? While still retaining the strokes. And on the border, I can see that there are few borders remaining. I can remove that using crop tool. And that's how it kind of creates. It's not perfect, but it looks a lot better than the earlier one, like a clean sketch. So I'll take a pause over here. I'll just summarize what I talked about. Pre-shoot, make sure that we have good enough lighting, and light should be falling on the subject from the opposite direction of the phone or on the backside of the phone camera. Second, the subject has to be obstacle free. And third one is make sure your digital zoom is not more than 1.2x. Try to get to physical zoom, which is taking the camera near to the subject. And then for photo settings, there are three: exposure, contrast, and brightness. And you can take help of black point to make it more the black to stand out. Now, these are the settings which are integral part of a photo editor, which comes with any camera. But to have more control over all these settings, there are two apps which you can use. One is Google Snapseed. Now, this is a photo editing app, and we can obviously use this for our to make our sketches look clean. So I go ahead and select one of the sketches, this one, and as you can see, basically the lighting is very dark over here. The strokes are coming out good, but because of the lighting, it is looking little blemished and also kind of muddy, I would say, right? So I'll go with the same thing, go to adjust and select the setting and go to, okay, it's not in this one. Yeah, where is that? I think I lost it.
Which setting you're searching for, Kumar?
Exposure.
Okay.
It was there, but okay, fine. For
So,
yeah.
sorry, I did a quick Google search. So exposure is tune image.
Okay.
Go to photo, go to tools, and then tune image. That's where it says in Google.
Oh. No, in this, so maybe it's part of the Android photo editor, the inbuilt photo editor.
Okay, so all right. For here it says
Okay.
okay. So adjusting the brightness, ambience, and highlight shadows is what is the exposure part. And that's what it says.
There is a cheat one over here. You can go
Okay.
to curves, okay, and in curves you will see something like this, a straight line. So what we are going to do is we are going to tap on the one, two, three, four, third line and tap it and then bring it on
Yeah.
the left side. And the one below, I am going to kind of bring it like this. So with just two adjustments, you can see that I have cleaned up. Now I don't need to do any exposure or brightness or contrast. Just using the curve itself, it will take care of all the things.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at another image. This is the one that we did today. I am going to crop it first. And then to adjust, go to the tools, curves, and then bring it like this. And that itself will do the wonders. Okay. So this is Google Snapseed. There is another tool called Adobe Lightroom. And in Adobe Lightroom, I can do the similar thing, which is, let's say, select a photo, open that up, and in that photo light settings and exposure, contrast, and blacks. In Lightroom also there is a curve possible. So this is an iPad app, but if you have phone app, in phone app also you can do the same thing. Look for the curve, and curve itself you will be able to kind of create. As you can see, if I make a curve like this, which is S but without that curvature, that itself will actually create a very clean looking photo. I'll pause here for any questions, and I'll also ask you to do some editing on your own. Snapseed is really very easy to use tool. I would suggest you can go ahead with using only the curve adjustment.
I think even the basic iPhone editor should also have same curve, right? I think it has.
iPhone does not. Yeah, iPhone does not have curve, but you can always play around with exposure, brightness,
Okay.
and contrast. Yeah, if you can see the difference.
What?
Hi Kumar,
Hey, Albert.
have you ever tried Adobe Scan or Cam Scanner?
Yes, I've tried that. Yes.
Yeah, I used that before.
Yeah, so Adobe Scan and Microsoft Lens, they are also good tools wherein, irrespective of the lighting and all, uh, like good amount of lighting is required, but you don't need to do any post-production. At the time of capture itself, it does all the adjustments. Um, but yeah, it also kind of plays around with the color of your sketches. So if you're just using black and white, well and good. But if you have colors, these are the tools or settings I would say you can play around with to retain the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Cool. I saw, Kanupriya, your sketch. I can see that, not to nitpick, but I can see that on the border, on in the bottom left corner, there is an obstruction, and I can still see the texture of the paper, which is fine. If you want to retain the texture of the paper, it is fine. But if you want to kind of make it look like digital, try to increase the exposure a bit, which will take off the texture of itself.
Yeah, I'll try.
You're doing it digitally because everything is black and white directly. Does not. So let's take a look at this one. You can see that I have taken a note, and it is pretty not light. It is not even across. So what I'll do is first of all go ahead and do the crop. And yeah, that has cropped the photo. And second, I'm going to use the tool and curve. And you can see that the original image was having grid, and if I change the curve, those light grid lines are actually disappearing, retaining only the text part, which is black in color. So I'll save a copy, and we can see the difference between two. This is the original one, and this is the one after editing, and it didn't take more than maybe 5 seconds to kind of come to this result. Cool. So that's all I had for in post production and in pre-production, how to kind of create sketches which are clean and looks good because they are clean and legible.